Today we are going to talk about hepatitis B and hepatitis C and also a little bit of D. Okay, so this is a very important class for hepatitis B and C. Both of them are transmitted parenterally. So it also imposes risk to healthcare workers. When you are working in the hospital, you also need to take precautions against this virus. So we'll see in details about it. It can be asked in your theory questions, viva, and also in practical you will have certain kits which will be showed to you. So this is an important topic again, hepatitis B and C. And obviously when you go to the hospital, you will have cases. You will have to identify the cases. You have to send samples to the lab. So you have to have an in-depth understanding about these two viruses. Okay? So that is what we will be doing today. So hepatitis B virus is most widespread and most important. This can cause acute infection, can cause chronic infection, fulminant infection, also cirrhosis and liver cancer. Okay, so this viral infection can lead to chronic infection. It's not that patient has it, the infection, and then he is cured. If his immune system, if his T cells and B cells, both of them has to take part in clearing the hepatitis B virus. So sometimes what happens if the immune system is not very potent, then it may even leave a mark where the patient is suffering from chronic infection. And that chronic infection may even turn out to be cancer. Okay, later on we say it as hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay, so we have to be more cautious when we work. We have to get vaccinated, right? All of you are vaccinated or not? So you should get vaccinated. You should see your titer. Okay, that is very important because you're already working with the patients. Are you going to the wards now? You're seeing the patients, right? So keep it in mind. Go next. So this, first of all, as all the viruses we are talking like under certain headings, the morphology first. Let us see what is the morphology. It is a Hepatnaviridae morphology identified by the electron microscopy. It is little bit different. It has got three morphological forms. Okay, it's not only the one virus form, but it has got three forms. What are these three forms? They usually ask you this, the morphological structure of this. So we have spherical forms and we have tubular forms and complete form or the Dane particle. We call it as a Dane particle. Okay, so three forms. Three forms. Spherical form is most numerous. So you can see here spherical form, tubular form, and this is the whole virus, that is the Dane particle. Okay. This is the electron microscopic pictures. You can see the small, tiny, numerous spherical forms. These ones around 22 nm size. And these tubular forms you can see here. You can appreciate the tubular structures here. These are about 200 nm in size, little bit longer. And then we have the Dane particle is about 42 nm in size. So first of all is the spherical form, most numerous, and next what you need to know is what is it made up of. Okay, it is made up of this antigen HBsAg. Okay, so this is also called as Australian antigen because it was first identified in one of the Australian aboriginal person. So they call it as Australian antigen also, and you may get a short note on Australian antigen. Okay, so you have to know everything in details about this HBsAg. We write it like this only. Small is S, G is small. Okay, This HBsAg is the, so you can see this is about 22 nm in size and exclusively made up of only HBsAg. Next is the tubular or filamentous, which you saw just a few minutes back. This is long, exclusively made up of also HBsAg. Okay. Next is complete form or the Dane particle. This is the larger virus which you saw. This is 42 nm in size, spherical, made up of outer envelope, surface envelope of HBsAg and inner nucleocapsid core, that is HBCAg. What is HBC is core. HBC is core. Okay, C stands for core. Pre-core is HBeAg. Okay, another antigen is pre-core antigen, that is called as HBeAg. It will be a little bit difficult for you, I understand, but you have to remember these things. Okay, that's the reason I have highlighted it. So you have three antigens. One is HBsAg, one is HBC for core and HBe for pre-core. Is it clear? Okay, we have three. In this we have three. And then we have partially double-stranded DNA also, the structure. So it is a DNA virus. Okay, we are dealing with one virus which is DNA virus here. What was A and E? RNA virus. Okay, you have to know this. This is a, we will have, when you will be appearing for your entrance exams, for your postgraduate entrance exams, you will be asked a lot of questions from this chapter. Okay, so these will be all combination permutations of all these antigens, antibody they will be asking. I will deal. This chapter will be little, I will go a little slow so that you understand here, so that you can read home and understand. Okay. So you got this point about the Dane particle. So now you know if a short note comes on Dane particle, you can write about it little bit. Then you read more from your book. Okay. This is the main things over here. Next is, this is the structure which you wanted to show. Now about this Australia antigen. This antigen is common group reactive antigen, 4 subtypes. It also has some subtypes. They ask about these subtypes also. DW, AYW, ADR, AYR. In ADR is prevalent in South India and AYW in Western and Northern India. First viral marker to appear. This is the first viral marker which appears. So we go for detecting this viral marker, this antigen. We have kits to detect this antigen because we want to detect the virus as soon as possible so that we can treat the patient. Next is the core antigen, HBcAg. So HBsAg circulates in the blood. So we can detect the virus, viral particle, an antigen. What about C? HBc, there is a core antigen, forms intracellular core protein, not secreted in the blood but demonstrated in hepatocytes by immunofluorescence. So you cannot get, if you do a liver biopsy, you can demonstrate in the hepatocytes, in the cells. But it doesn't, this antigen doesn't circulate in the blood. Okay? So you cannot detect it in the blood, the antigen. But what you can detect is, you can detect the antibody against this antigen. What will be that? Anti-HBcAg. You get it? Our body will respond to the antigens, right? So the antibody can be detected in the blood, but we cannot detect this antigen. So we don't have any kits for detecting it. So this is the core antigen. Now, pre-core antigen is HBeAg. This is a very important antigen. Okay, HBeAg. And what does it determine? That is important. This is asked. What do you understand if a patient is having HBeAg or is having anti-HBeAg? Okay, you have to know that. So it is the infectivity marker present in the circulation. So this also you can detect, as it is in the blood, it circulates. And it is an infectivity marker. So how much, what will be the prognosis of the patient? Okay, whether he will get, he will be okay or he will be having chronic infection or not, we can tell by seeing this, if it is detected. Okay, if high titer of HBeAg in blood indicates active viral replication, this virus is replicating very fast in your body. After a few minutes, we will also see how it replicates. Okay, So then presence of HBV DNA in blood. So if you go for identifying the virus itself, the DNA, there also will be in these patients who is showing this HBeAg. Presence of DNA polymerase also in the blood. Okay. So you have understood that HBeAg. Why you guys are so much congested in one place? You will scatter out. Okay, it's fine. So we have HBeAg, which is also called as a pre-core antigen. It is the infectivity marker. Okay. So we'll go to the next slide. Now we have viral genome. This little bit about it. 4 overlapping genes: S gene, C gene, X gene, and P genes. P gene is largest and codes for polymerase P proteins. So we have also seen that in this virus there is mutation also due to in the course of the treatment. It also gets some mutations. So some questions also comes from this mutation part. So you need to know that also. So we have pre-core mutants. Mutation in the pre-core region do not produce HBeAg. Okay. Diagnosed late and suffer severe chronic hepatitis identified in Europe. We don't get these mutants in India, but you need to know. So what is this? There is mutation in this HBeAg, okay, pre-core region, and diagnosed late. So these patients are usually suffering, but we get to diagnose them late. So they suffer due to this way. As we are diagnosing it late, so they turn it to be chronic infections. Next is escape mutants. Mutation in the S gene, so altered HBsAg. This HBsAg is altered in this. So it's mutation in that area. Infants born to HBeAg positive mothers or patients treated with high potency human monoclonal anti-HBs preparations. These patients are under treatment with the infants usually gets this mutation. This particular in the gene is HBsAg S gene. Okay. Next is the YMDD mutation. In this, what happens? Patients on lamivudine, this is an antiviral drug therapy, may develop resistance due to mutation in the YMDD locus present in the HBV reverse transcriptase region of the polymerase gene. So these patients, when they are under treatment by lamivudine, there are different drugs, antiviral drugs, which are when the patient is under treatment, so it happens that they are getting some mutation occurs due course of treatment. Okay, so this is the locus is in the region of polymerase gene. Okay. Now let us talk about this, how the virus enters the hepatocytes and how it is replicating. Okay, so it's shown here. Just try to understand. Shown here, you can see one viral particle or one virus is entering the hepatocytes. This is the figure which has not come. This is a hepatocyte and this is the nucleus of the hepatocyte, the liver cell. Okay, the liver cells are called hepatocytes, right? So once one virus enters, how the virus utilizes the enzymes of this liver cell, how the liver cell, because it is also a DNA virus, enters inside, and then it gives rise to a lot of progeny viruses, okay, or daughter viruses, and they go and infect subsequently other hepatocytes, other liver cells, and that's how a lot of liver cells are infected, and consequences, you get liver cirrhosis or you get hepatocellular carcinoma. So the story here, let us start here. So you know it is a DNA virus, right? First of all, you can see there is uncoating. Okay, uncoating is there. This is the coat is there here, but here the uncoating happens and the virus code, they are showing it here, and there is release of this rcDNA or relaxed circular DNA to, and here inside the nucleus of the hepatocyte, it is transferred to, it becomes what? cccDNA, or it is called as this cccDNA is a complete DNA which it has been, by the help of the hepatocytes, this nucleus, all the enzymes, it is covalently closed circular DNA is formed. After this covalently closed circular DNA is formed, then we have transcription. to mRNAs, and also here we have pgRNAs to new. This pgRNAs are also formed, and then there will be assembly here again, and there will be formation of the complete virus. Okay, so all the particles which has been synthesized separately, they will come and assemble, and then they will form the complete virus, and then they will be released from this hepatocyte. These are all the daughter viruses. You can see this HBsAg antigens also released here, and this is the DAIN particle or the complete virus. This daughter virus will go and again infect more hepatocytes. So here is written like the whole hepatitis virus replication from entry to assembly and then release. So this particular phenomenon, which is called as the replication of the virus within the hepatocytes, what will happen is our body will also act. We have T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. Okay, once the virus is entered in our body, the T lymphocytes will be released, and they will also come and recognize and try to kill these hepatocytes. We have mainly CD4 and CD8 T lymphocytes. You have read this in immunology, right? And then the B lymphocytes will be secreting what? Immunoglobulins. Okay, they will be secreting the immunoglobulins, which will be the antibodies, which will go and they will try to neutralize these viruses. So if your body is quite active, immunity is very strong, maybe you will not get a fulminant disease, you will not get a chronic hepatitis, you are recovering. But in many cases it has been seen that if the viral dose is more, if the infectivity is more, and the patient's immunity is also low, okay, so then what will happen is patient turns to chronic infection or hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay. So now let us go to transmission, and this is again important. Why? All the viruses, you have to know how they transmit. Only then you can prevent. Okay, so that is the thing. Transmission is parental route, most common in developing countries, blood and blood products, transfusion and needle prick. Needle prick is important for us. Okay, all healthcare workers, when you are working with the patients, when you are taking blood, giving injections, you have to be careful. You don't know that patient may be in a window period of hepatitis B. He may be having infection. Okay, so you have to be careful while dealing with these patients. And blood transfusion. Usually we do screening for the blood. When the donor comes in the blood bank, it is screened for hepatitis B, along with HCV and HBV. But even then, there may be chances when the patient is in the window period. So blood and blood products, needle prick, surgical or dental procedures. I have seen patients who had a surgery in nursing home somewhere, and then they give history that I had a surgery there, and now he's having with hepatitis B. Maybe the instruments are not sterilized properly. There is one chances. Okay, so that is also there. Dental procedures. So make sure when you go to the dentist, ask him that whether he has autoclaved his instruments or not properly. Okay. Shared razors. When you go to barber shop, or if you share in a razor at home with anyone. And then toothbrush, and tattoos, obviously. HBV, as little as, see the dose is so less. So as little as, here we have 4 zeros here and then 1 ml. So it's require a little bit of the virus to become infectious. It is the most infectious virus, even more than HIV. Okay, the dosage is very less, which is required to infect you. Okay. So that is important. So all of you should know the first aid. If you get a prick, what to do? These are taught to you already, right? What to do, what not to panic, what to do when you get a prick. There's a whole protocol for incident reporting if a healthcare worker gets a prick. Okay? So then HBV, as little as this blood is infectious more than the HCV and HIV. Needle prick, about 30% chances of getting this HBV. Can remain infectious in environment for 7 days. See, blood. Now, what all can carry? Blood, semen, saliva, body fluid is infectious. Okay? Blood, semen, saliva, all body fluids is infectious. Next, we have the sexual route of transmission. Most common route in developed countries. Then we have homosexual male, higher risk. Vertical transmission, again, mother to fetus. Okay. China and Southeast Asia most prevalent. Okay, at this stage. In utero, when the fetus is inside in utero during delivery. Okay. Then breastfeeding also, chances are there. Then you have maximum risk if mother is HBeAg positive. So this viral marker, okay, there is a pre-core marker. HBeAg is positive. You are getting? So then there is more risk of the mother transmitting the virus to the fetus. Following HBV infection risk of becoming a carrier is highest in neonates. Okay, they also become, so it's very unfortunate if a mother is getting hepatitis B infection when she is carrying a child. Okay, so usually there is a immunization schedule. Remember our immunization schedule of India, what you have? At birth we give this vaccine, hepatitis B. All of you have been vaccinated at birth already. But things doesn't stop there. We eventually, after a few years, we tend to lose the antibodies titer. The protective range is usually, it gets diminished. So you need to do the titer again. What is the titer of your antibody in your blood? You need to see. Okay, and then you have to basically get revaccinated if your titer is low. Get it? So this is one. Next is direct skin contact with skin lesions. For example, impetigo, very rarely. High risk groups. Who are the high risk groups? Surgeons. Okay, because they are even operating on hepatitis B positive patients. If a patient comes with hepatitis B, you cannot refuse. If you are a surgeon, you have to, or a HIV patient, you have to operate on that patient. But obviously, you have to take all the precautions. Standard precautions, you know all those precautions which have been taught to you. Okay, so technicians who are dealing with the blood all the time, and then phlebotomists, sex workers, recipients of blood transfusion or organ transplants, and then drug addicts. In Tripura, we have, this is a problem. Our state problem is of drug addiction, and I have seen numerous, few days back also, I think 1 week back, I saw a boy who was 21 years old. He is having hepatitis C. He is infected with HIV. Okay, and he has other virus. He was also infected with dengue also. So because his immunity is so down, anything can come and attack him. Only 21 years old boy. Okay, so they also have co-infections with HIV, HBsAg, and even VDRL. So drug addicts, they are intravenous drug abusers. So that is also risk. Epidemiology reservoir is humans. Cases may be inapparent or symptomatic. So sometimes you may not know also that you had an infection. If your immunity is very high, then you may be resolving it. But else, many times it is, most of the time it is symptomatic. Carriers temporarily or chronic more than 6 months. Chronic carriers, okay? They are usually more than 6 months. Simple carriers, low infectivity, low level of HBsAg and no HBeAg, okay? So we have again some criteria. So these will be asked in exams. What is a simple carrier? They will just give you simple carrier. These two, viral markers will be given mixed with other markers, and then you have to find out, okay, this is a simple carrier. Why we are telling simple carrier? He has only HBsAg. Okay? You get it? Only HBsAg, no HBeAg. No HBeAg. Super carriers, what this? So what is simple carrier from there? Last bench, one bench before. This, tell me what is simple carrier? What is simple carrier? What is simple carrier? Pre-core. You are not listening, okay? What I can get from here, I can see everybody from here. Sit down. Simple carriers are, infectivity is low and level of HbSAg only, and no, we can see the HbSAg is present but very low, and we have no HbEAg. Okay, absence of HbEAg. Supercarriers. Now about the supercarriers. Super, always you understand super, right? So what is that? Highly infectious. They are very infectious. Okay. High level of HbSAg, high level of HbSAg, and also has HbEAg and DNA polymerase and HBV DNA. Okay. So you have everything there. HBV DNA is also there. HbEAg is also there. And high titer of HbS, okay, and DNA polymerase. World Hepatitis Day is on 28 July, and HBV can be destroyed by, we have certain, obviously when you're working in the hospital, you will be dealing with a lot of blood, needles, this, that, right? So they may be having this hepatitis B virus. We need something to even decontaminate it and sterilize it. So usually hypochlorite is a very good, 1% hypochlorite is a very good chemical, and it's always there in the hospital. In all hospital ward, labs, you will find this hypochlorite, but hypochlorite again has to be made in every ships. Okay, you cannot just make one hypochlorite solution and have it for next day, 3 days, 4 days. Every day fresh you have to make it. Okay, during incubation period and as long as HbSAg is in blood, even years for chronic carriers. Okay, this is the period of infectivity. HBV can cause various clinical outcomes. So let us see what are the outcomes. What all are the outcomes? It can cause acute hepatitis, acute, which with recovery and virus clearance. That is the best outcome. Acute hepatitis finished, virus cleared, and you are fine. Okay. Next is non-progressive chronic hepatitis. This one stage it is stopped, but it is chronic. Progressive chronic disease, that is leading to cirrhosis. This is very bad. Progressive chronic disease leading to cirrhosis. Next is acute hepatic failure. So what will happen? You saw on the first day I showed you 500 and more functions of the liver. You know? So the liver is having a liver failure. So all the functions will be gone. So the consequences are very bad. And with massive liver necrosis. Okay. Asymptomatic carrier state also. This is a carrier, but you don't find no symptoms. Patient doesn't come to you. If no symptoms, they will not come, right? Patient usually the hepatitis, they will have, all those jaundice symptoms, what we have seen. Okay, chronic HBV infection is a major risk factor for hepatocellular carcinoma. So the very common question where they will ask hepatocellular carcinoma is found in which hepatitis, right? So that you have to know this. Even without cirrhosis, incubation period ranges from 1 to 6 months. Okay. Now clinical features. Let us see how the patient will come to you. He will not come straight away with the cancer. He will come in the initial phase maybe with serum sickness like syndrome, may appear in the prodromal phase, rash, usually they will come with some rashes or itching, there will be a lot of itching. Then polyarthritis, fever, subclinical hepatitis occurs in about 70% of cases. Symptomatic hepatitis occurs in 30% of cases. See, 70% is subclinical. Okay, they may not be having any symptoms also. Common symptoms are fever, rash, arthralgia, myalgia, fatigue, nausea, jaundice, right upper quadrant tenderness. Symptoms typically resolve in 1 to 3 months. So this is common for all other hepatitis as same symptoms. Okay. Next is fulminant hepatitis is rare, about 0.5% of cases, and most adults clear the infection successfully. Serological tests, the lab diagnosis is an important part, where in this you will get, even for your entrance exam also, there is a lot of questions which comes with combination and permutation of all those viral markers, and you have to say this is this and that, they will give you a lot of. I have tried to put some of them here. Okay, so then we have what? Serological test, as for other viruses, is the same. You have got immunochromatographic or the point of care testing, where you can find out the antibodies, okay, and also the antigens, and then ELISA and CLIA, okay. These are the tests which we are done for the serological. Means you take the blood and then separate the serum and run this test. Okay. You can even do it in OPD or in an emergency or hospital, anywhere. So HBV DNA is also done by the PCR, RT-PCR, right? The DNA detection. Serological test interpretation. Okay. HBsAg protein on HBV surface, first infection marker. By now you know everybody. Australia antigen, HBsAg, first infection marker. Detectable 1 to 2 weeks to 11 to 12 weeks post infection. So within 1 to 2 weeks usually it comes after the infection, remains up to 12 weeks after the infection. 12 weeks. HBcAg, that is the core, nucleic acid protein indicating active viral replication. Okay. So usually we will not detect it, but we can see the antibodies against it. Okay. Because it is not found in the circulation. Not found in blood, detected only in liver cells or liver biopsies. If you do a liver biopsy, then only you can do it. Next is hepatitis HBeAg, this is the envelope antigen, secreted protein indicating viral replication infectivity present in blood, unlike the HBcAg. Screening, we can do HBsAg and anti-HBc IgM, okay, detectable 1 to 5 months post-infection. If HBsAg positive, measure now. So if a patient comes to you with the signs and symptoms of all hepatitis, now what usually does the doctor, you will be asking him some questions. You had some blood transfusion, he will say, I had a blood transfusion. Some leading questions will be there. I had a surgery, this, that. Or he is a homosexual, or he is a drug addict. So you know which test to be written, which test to be asked for him. I will go for, or I had a hemodialysis, you know. So where I will go for hepatitis B or hepatitis C. C will come later. So these are the parental transmission. So then he writes the test. So positive HB seroconversion to anti-HBe suggests low viral load and better prognosis. So if you are getting the antibodies against HBe, you know that antigen, pre-core antigen, that means it's low viral load and the patient is recovering. Anything anti, see, you will get this anti word, you know what is the anti? Is the antibodies. Okay, antibodies against this HBV is there in the blood, if you can test for it, right? So, means he is in a recovery stage. Persistent HBV DNA, more than 6 weeks, likely chronic hepatitis development. So, if a patient, you have to label him, like they will go step by step. HBsAg positive, first of all, you will see. Then you will ask for HBeAg. If it is positive, then only you will ask for HBeAg. Understand? And then you will ask for HBV DNA by the PCR to label him whether he is having a chronic infection or not. Okay? If these are negative, HBV DNA is negative or HBeAg is also negative, so then you will see, understand it is it's an acute infection. Okay? Only HBsAg is positive. So like that you have to know which one is what. So here I have a graph where you can see the viral markers. I understand this is little bit difficult. You have to read twice or thrice when you go home, and then only you will understand inside. Remember this anti word when it comes before means the antibodies against that particular antigen. Whenever there is antibodies, it's good, but only if you are finding the antigens, I'm talking about the prognosis of the patient. Antigens only, that is not okay. Remember this much funda, okay? Antigen is not okay. It may be HBsAg, it may be HBeAg, okay? So, there is what? So, now, HBs serological markers. So, here we have a graph which is plotted against time after exposure. Time exposure. So, you can see here. So, let us start here, and here we have put the different markers. So, this purple color graph which you can see here, this is what? HBcAb. What is HBc? What is HBc? Core antigen. What is AB? AB is what? Antibody. So they are talking about the antibody. It may either be anti-HBc or it may anti-HBcAb. the same. Okay, so this is the antibody. Okay, so this is antibody exposure. So here you can see this is coming. Now this is the first one. Now we have got, because this is HBsAg. This, the red line is HBsAg, surface antigen. Okay, it rises here, after a few weeks comes down, but there is a gap you can see in between. This is the HBsAb. This is the antibody against surface. Okay, to get it, antibody against the surface is the green one. Are you all minding here? Please, you can see the slide. So HBsAg is the red marking, you can see is graph which is going up higher, coming down, and then this green one is antibodies to the HBs. Okay, surface antigen. But you can see a gap here. Can you see a gap? This is called as window period. They can ask you, what is a window period? Window period is very bad for us, for doctors, because we can't detect. ना HBsAg detect होता है, ना anti-HBs detect होता है ना? So this is bad for us, because then how these people are getting from blood transfusion? Because we are obviously doing this test for HBsAg करते हैं हम detect करने के लिए blood bank में, है ना? So the patient in this group of patients, this patient when he is in window period, if you go as a donor, we are taking the blood, we are detecting HBsAg, but we are not able to catch him because he is a window period. You understand? So this is bad for the doctors, clinicians, or maybe we are dealing with the case of hepatitis B. Virus he is having, but we are not knowing. Unknowingly he is spreading the infection. Okay, this is the importance of this window period. So in window period you can only detect this HBsAg. Okay, so if you are a smart doctor, then you will ask for this also. Okay, that okay, let's go for this test. Why will you ask? Maybe he is having some risk related risk factors, like he is a drug abuser, obviously he will be out from donation, blood donation, or he is having some, or commercial sex workers, you know. So you have to correlate. As a doctor, you have to think a lot of things. It's not only the patient sitting in front of you. All your knowledge from first year, second year, third year, and then correlating whatever you have done, because you have to give the best to the patient, right? Or else you will miss the diagnosis. So what happens in acute infection? Acute infection is HBsAg positive, HBsAg positive. Okay, these are there in acute. But HBsAg is negative. Okay. Window period we have seen, only HBc is positive here. Okay. This is the acute infection, you can see here, this phase. Then chronic infection. You can see here HBsAg is positive. Okay. This stage, and remote or chronic. Remote, okay, infection is again cleared, where you can get the antibodies, okay, or cleared infection is almost cleared, so antibody to HBs is there, okay, and then immunization. They will ask you, if you are immunized, all of us, what will we get? You will get this HBsAg, okay, only HBsAg. For all of us, we will get antibodies to the HBs. That is the titer we do, what I was talking about. You need to know the titer. Antibodies to the HBs antigen. Is it clear, everybody? So that is for all vaccinated people will get. So inactive chronic carrier, where is inactive but is chronic carrier, you get only the HBsAg. Is it clear? Go home, read again, twice, thrice, 4 times you have to read. Make your own notes how to remember. Okay? But you have to remember this. You will get multiple questions from this chapter. Okay? About all the viral markers. If you understand well, very well, and then you have to revise. But the concept is clear or not? Okay? Next, laboratory studies. Other tests like all bilirubin will be high, AST high, ALT high, already you know this, okay, for all hepatitis. So this is transaminase, AST and ALT levels, acute hepatitis elevated AST, ALT, chronic hepatitis variable levels with AST and ALT, increased gamma GT and also bilirubin, okay, and also alkaline phosphatase. In cirrhosis you get decreased albumin and cholinesterase. Abdominal ultrasound is also helpful. Acute hepatitis case, other lab diagnosis if you say, ultrasound is also done. Increased brightness of the portal vein radical walls, decreased liver echogenicity. So you can also write the ultrasound. Chronic hepatitis, decreased brightness of the portal vein radical walls, and also the increased liver echogenicity. Liver biopsy is also for definitive diagnosis, testing for common co-infection. If a doctor is thinking having a liver cancer, then he will go for liver biopsy also. We don't have this facility in Tripura. In a higher setup where you have a gastroenterologist, good setup, and a hepatobiliary system setup, they even do the liver biopsy and they will see whether it is carcinogenic or not. Okay, so this is, and you should also remember about some co-infections, hepatitis and syphilis and all this C and D and HIV. These are the co-infections. Usually a patient with this hepatitis B may also have HIV, may have syphilis, may have D infection. So you have to do diagnosis, you have to ask for those tests also along with their hepatitis B. Okay. Treatment part, as all hepatitis, is all supportive treatment. Diet, nutrition, taking care, rest, okay. Obviously, we have to do other treatments depending on the course of the illness. If he's having a carcinoma, you have to go accordingly. So here, supportive care, manage acute liver failure by early transfer to a liver transplant center, okay, and administering IV and acetylcysteine, preventing and treating complications, other. Treat underlying causes, antiviral therapy for hepatitis B, steroid for autoimmune hepatitis, even liver transplantation. If his liver is gone, cirrhotic liver is not working anymore, for the patient to survive, you have to do a liver transplant also. Okay, done in very much higher setup is the only option if hepatocyte regeneration is insufficient. Chronic hepatitis B treatment, antiviral. We have few antivirals like tenofovir, entecavir for patients with decompensated or compensated liver disease, and those unresponsive to the interferons. Even usually these gamma interferons are given, pegylated interferons are used. Co-infection with HDV is best treated with the pegylated gamma alpha interferons. Surgical treatment, again liver transplant. Okay. Now complications, you have to know these. What are the complications? Hepatitis D virus infection, acute liver failure, liver cirrhosis, hepatocellular carcinoma, reactivation of previous HBV infection, long-term complications. Okay, these are the very bad virus. A lot of complications can happen. Now we'll go to prevention part is vaccination. I already talked a lot about it. All infants, like, at birth, 3 doses are given, okay, for us, children and adolescents, adults, high-risk individuals. This is the list of high-risk individuals, okay. 2 doses, 0.5 ml intramuscular injection in children and 1 ml intramuscular injection in adults. You have 0, 1 and 6. 0 means today if you start a vaccine, after 1 month you have to give another dose, and after 6 months you have to give another dose. Okay, so these are the doses for us. So if you are having a titer low, then less than 10, then you have to give the full dose. Okay, or if any patient is having, there is the immunoprophylaxis we are talking here, the PEP, that is the post-exposure prophylaxis. Suppose you get a prick from a patient who is having hepatitis B, then what to do? So first of all, we have to test for the patient, that source from where, and then you will see that, okay, unfortunately that is hepatitis B positive. Then you have to give this immunoglobulin. You don't have time for your body to to produce the antibodies. It takes time, right? For the vaccine, so you have to give a immunoglobulin that is prepared from outside another source, and that human immunoglobulin is given to a body so that it can go and fight against the virus. Get it? So these immunoglobulins are helpful there. Prevents HBV infection after exposure, indicated for exposure via percutaneous, ocular or mucosal routes. For unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, administer. Sometimes what happens, people forget. एक वैक्सीन लिया था, फिर सेकेंड डोज लिया, थर्ड डोज लेना भूल गया, फिर 5 साल हो गया, यू नो, एंड देन यू रिमेंबर, ओके मैडम इज टोल्ड मेरे को वैक्सीन लेना है. तब एक डोज लेने से नहीं होगा, तुमको 3 डोज पूरा लेना पड़ेगा टू टेक. ओके, is not there because your body has not, system has not been able to make it, right? Best is for you guys, it's not that costly. I think only 1000 rupees maybe the cost of the antibody titer. Go and get antibody titer done. Any of the labs you can get it, and then if you see the titer is less than 10, go and get vaccinated. Okay, that's the best way to do. Now HDV, we have finished with HBV. Okay, now HDV, A is done, B is done, C is left. Now we go to D. C is little big, so we'll take it separately today only. So HDV, after this you have microbiology class only, right? It's fine. So HDV is what? Understand this. We will get ones from this, not too much, but they do ask. So defective virus needs HBV for survival. This is a defective virus. उसको अकेला जिंदा नहीं रह सकता, उसको HBV भी चाहिए साथ में. So usually it is a co-infection with HBV or a super infection with HBV. Okay. Circular negative sense RNA virus. This is a RNA virus. Only DNA virus is hepatitis B. Okay. So transmission is similar to HBV and HCV. Transmission जो है इसका HBV and HCV जैसे ही है, blood and blood products. Parental route is most common, followed by sexual and vertical. Association of HBV and HDV is of 2 types, co-infection and super-infection. This is asked in your exam about co-infection and super-infection. You have a chart in your book. You should know that chart. When you call super-infection, when you call co-infection, that is important. Okay. So now let us see about this. Here you have co-infection and this is super-infection. So when is co-infection? HBV and HDV infection occurs simultaneously, साथ-साथ. Okay? Simultaneously. HDV infection occurs to a carrier of HBV. मान लो 6 महीने पहले HBV हुआ था, है ना? हेपेटाइटिस बी इन्फेक्ट हुआ था, 6 महीने बाद HDV आया है. That is the super infection. This is HBV and HDV दोनों साथ में इन्फेक्ट हुआ है. You get it? I mean now next patient status. Healthy patient obviously he was HBV carrier. इसमें तो carrier ही होगा ना, 6 महीने पहले HBV था. Next is risk of development of all these. What are the risks? Fulminant more than that of HBV. ठीक है? अगर HBV fulminant मतलब is bad, right? मतलब इस course of prognosis is bad. Fulminant when अगर only HBV है, उससे खराब है HBV and HDV साथ में रहना. Do you get it? Please, you have to put your attention here, full attention, or else you will lose track. एक बार भी इधर उधर चला गया, you will lose track. Okay? What is this? Fulminant is more than that of HBV. Okay? More than that of co-infection. Chronic hepatitis rare, much greater. So this can go to chronic hepatitis. Cirrhosis rare, it's more. Okay. Hepatocellular carcinoma is more. Mortality is rare, more than 20%. So super infection. The word super से तुम correlate कर सकते हो. So it will be easier for you to remember like that. Okay. So super infection is worse, sir. Diagnosis HBV. Now this is also important. This is very important. They will give you, they will not tell what is super infection, what is co-infection. They just give you this scenario. A patient has this. Now you have to, they will give you MCQs like what is, this is a co-infection or super infection. You get it? So you have to know about it, how to diagnose. HBs AG, ये तो है ही, हेपेटाइटिस बी है तो HBs AG होगा, एंटीजन तो होगा ना. Next is anti-HBC IgM. Okay, the core IgM is there. Then anti-HBD IgM. Okay, and then you have HDV RNA. Okay, you understanding? I will go a little bit slow here. HBs AG is there, antigen is there. Obviously, hepatitis B infection is there. Your first of all is HBs AG antigen. Next is what? HB, anti-HBC. HBC is not in the circulation. What you are finding? Detecting antibodies to the HBC, and that too the IgM, which is in the acute phase. So this is there. And anti-HBD IgM. HBD है तो उसका भी IgM होगा ना. तुम बोल रहे हो इसका कोई इन्फेक्शन है हेपेटाइटिस डी का. You get it? So you have this also, and then you have HDV RNA also. Okay. Next is the super infection. What about the super infection? This is worse. Okay. HBs AG है, means you have to have evidence of both. What? B and D, right? Both has to be there. Okay. Now let us see what all we have here. HBs AG is there, antigen है. HBe AG is there. Okay, precore, and then super. Remember by the word super. EAG is there. Then anti-HBAC is there. IgG. Because you've seen this chronic here, we said it is from a chronic carrier. So इसलिए IgG आ गया यहाँ पे. Are you getting it? Huh? And then anti-HDV in acute phase IgM, in chronic phase IgG and IgM, and HDV RNA. That is there. So this is a little bit complex, but we have to understand it, digest it, read it 2-3 times, we'll understand. Okay. Globally, 5% of HBV infected persons are co-infected with HDV. Only 5%, not big, not a lot of people. HDV not prevalent in India. This is a good thing. We don't have H. This is the reason we don't ask for any HDVs. Okay. You need not worry about the HDV as of now, but we don't know in future what happens. Treatment is alpha interferons and treat HBV. Prevention is vaccines for HBV. Okay. Now we have another virus which is HGV. ठीक है? HGV is related to HGV. Family is Pegivirus. Transmitted by contaminated blood and blood products or sexual contact. This is also blood and blood products. Replicated in the bone marrow and spleen. So this can be a question for you. What? PG question, MCQ question. PG करना है कि नहीं सबको? या यहाँ सब MBBS होके खत्म हो गया बात? तो PG के लिए ही मैं सब डालती हूँ 1-2 क्वेश्चंस ताकि तुम लोगों को थोड़ा स्टिमुलेशन मिले. ओके. See, only thing exception you have to remember. अभी तक हम लोगों ने बोन मैरो की बात नहीं किया ना, सब हेपेटोसाइट की बात किया था, है ना. So this is like replicating in the bone marrow and spleen, associated with acute and chronic liver disease, co-infection in 6% of chronic HBV and 10% of chronic HCV. HIV co-infection in 35%. We have seen that co-infections because blood and blood products, all those you will get a co-infection. So these are all the HGV RNA detected in patients with various hepatitis types, hemophilics, and also this multiple transfusion recipients, hemodialysis patients, etc. So here we have few charts. Okay, these will be asked in your exams. Okay, you have to understand it, you have to digest it. आज तो मेरा थोड़ा time लगेगा. Hepatitis B is very vast. Okay, so I will explain why I put those in highlighted. You know, these are the things which gives you the clue that is a super infection. We have already talked. It's a revision sort of. Super infection I have put here. So they'll be putting a lot of other parameters like markers to distract you. You get it? To distract you. But you have to focus on the positive ones. What is positive? Okay. So super infection we have. Then you have acute hepatitis B plus D infection, co-infection. There's recovered phase. Let us see this. We have spoken about this too. What about the recovered phase? Recovered. When you say your patient is recovered, what test will you do? He is in under treatment under you. Now, कैसे determine करोगे कि ये recovery हो गया? So he has anti-HBs positive. What is that? Antibodies. Okay, to the HBs antigen. Okay, next. Anti-HBe positive. What is that? Antibodies to the HBe or the pre-core antigen. It's fine, he's recovered. We have treated. Earlier he was positive for HBe, only the antigen. Now he is recovered. Are you getting all of you? So this is for your exams, you will get like this. Okay. Then we have vaccinated. Already you know, vaccinated किसका है? Anti-HBs. We are talking ना, few minutes back. सबके सब में अगर वैक्सीन है तो anti-HBs है, ठीक है? Then this is the diagnostic importance and interpretation. Same. In a patient who is incubating, you will have HBsAg positive. Okay, incubating. In acute hepatitis B and high infectivity, is HBsAg positive, HBcIgM positive, anti, and HBeAg positive. Why it is acute hepatitis B? How will you say it's acute? How will you say it's acute? But which marker is telling me acute here? Huh? This marker is telling me it's acute. Anti-HBcIgM. Okay? IgM is for acute. First, IgM body response. Our B cells will be producing the IgMs. IgG is later on. So in the acute phase, you will get the IgM. So in this, all the story they have put here, so many things. So just to find out, so you'll have options like acute hepatitis B, chronic hepatitis B, all those options will be there for your MCQ. Now you have to find out which is the acute one or not. So as a smart student, you have to see, you have less time. You have to see this. Look for the acute, look for the IgM. Anti-HBc IgM is there. So this is the acute stage. Okay? And why it is high infectivity? Because of this HBeAg positive. Now this scenario you see here is the chronic hepatitis B. Now we are talking about chronic hepatitis B. What is that? When you say it's chronic, look for that IgG. So you see here, we have here anti-HBc IgG positive, and we have HBsAg positive and HBeAg positive. So it's high infectivity and chronic hepatitis B. Is it clear to everybody? Dissolution of infection, where you have only HBsAg, that you already seen. High titer of HBsAg, HBeAg, DNA polymerase is a supercarrier. This is also asked to you. Who are the supercarriers? They are very dangerous. If you happen to get pricked by the supercarriers, high viral load. Okay? Supercarriers, they have got this HBeAg DNA polymerase and then HBsAg in high titer. Lot of viruses circulating in the blood. This is the supercarriers. And then carrier also. So we have a scenario here. The whole story is here. Who will be reading it for me? Anyone who can read well. Fast. Anyone? You read. Just read it. Fast. Okay, so he had a transfusion and he had a hepatitis B marker is also positive. So what is the most probable etiological diagnosis? This is a very easy question. You may not be getting so easy questions. Okay, discuss in details about the lab diagnosis of this condition. Okay, and then how will you prevent the transmission of this infection? Okay. Short notes HAV, and then name the virus responsible for hepatitis, write lab diagnosis of HBV infection, enumerate serological markers for HBV and their significant. This is a very important question. Number 3, there can be at least 20 questions from that question about the interpretation. Okay. Next is vaccination against hepatitis virus, Australia antigen, yellow fever. Those, we have few more viruses which cannot be taken in this class, which also causes hepatitis. Will be taken up in your yellow fever virus and all. They will be taken up in your SGTs. Okay. HCV. এখানে একটা স্লাইড আচ্ছা দেখো HCV, ঠিক আছে? So once you understand hepatitis B very well, HCV is not issue. So which patients we get HCV? Next, which patients we get HCV? We get in the hospital. Nowadays, it's very unfortunate. Patients who have got CKD, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, blood pressure, turns out to be chronic kidney disease. You may be having 1 or 2 relatives of yours also who needs dialysis, right? So they go to the dialysis for like weekly, twice, thrice dialysis they have to do. So dialysis is what? It's just an artificial kidney is sitting outside. You're taking help from a kidney outside, right? So the whole blood goes there, it gets, dialyzed and then comes in. So these patients, because one dialysis machine you have done with this patient, another patient will come and get the dialysis in that, right? So this patient, dialysis patient gets hepatitis C from even dialysis instruments when they are not properly disinfected, So, and maybe a patient was already there. So a few days, I think 4 days back, I had a patient who is having hepatitis C. Just I will share with you. Hepatitis C, antibody positive. Antibody positive. I did the test, this rapid test positive. Now, this patient was there for treatment. Treatment was going on then. And now ultimately what happened, the doctor, the nephrologist, he thought, I will do a RNA test. This is the RNA virus, okay? So to see, because clinically he is fine, he is better, to see whether he is recovered or not. And ultimately what happened, his RNA came to be negative, HCV RNA, okay? Now HCV RNA is negative and his hepatitis C antibody is positive. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? RNA is negative. I had to interpret that because we had to decide which machine to put him. Whether I should put him in we have got 3 machines in our hospital. One, not 3, I mean to say 3 separate machines, one for HIV patients, one for HCV, one for HBsAg, and other for normal people who doesn't have any viral infection. Okay. Now see, as a clinician, you have to think so much. Now which machine to put? We have to put him in the normal machine because his body is showing antibodies to this HCV, but his RNA or his virus is not there in the body anymore. Okay, so I just wanted to make this a little bit interesting to you, that these are the situations which you face. It's not only you are reading about this. Every day you have to see patients. You have to make decisions as a doctor. Okay, so next, so we go to the epidemiology. Hepatitis C virus is 170 million people worldwide. Lot of people get hepatitis C due to this, this dialysis and blood transfusion, all this. Chronic, it also can turn to chronic hepatitis, liver cirrhosis, hepatocellular carcinoma, transmitted via blood transfusion, most common cause of post-transfusion hepatitis, and intravenous drug use, and even intravenous drug use. Okay, so if you know hepatitis B, C becomes easier. Remember, the transmission is the same. Okay, mode of transmission is the same. Only that is a DNA and this is an RNA. Okay. So about 85% patients will be getting this persistent infection, and 30% will have a liver disease, and 1 to 5% will have a death. Genus is Hepa C virus, family is Flaviviridae, 6 genotypes are there worldwide, more than 100 subtypes and isolates based on nucleotide diversity. Quasi-species, many subtypes of HCV circulate within individuals. For your MD preparations, these things are important. They ask you about the genome, okay, how many subtypes, which subtype is prevalent in which region, all those things. In India, we have genotype 1 and 3 more prevalent. So this is again a spherical one. The structure 60 nm in size, enveloped, and nucleic acid positive sense, and structures, okay, icosahedral lipid membrane with E1 and E2 glycoproteins and a icosahedral nucleocapsid. So you can see here E1 glycoprotein envelopes and E2 glycoprotein, which is the envelope. This is a circular, and envelope lipids and nucleic acid capsid protein. Okay. Transmission is the same as hepatitis B. Okay. Life cycle. This hepatitis C virus is an RNA virus. Okay. So this is a hepatocyte. So these hepatocytes have got certain receptors. CD81 receptor, it will go and bind to that and causes internalization. And here there is shedding, or it is uncoating of the virus. And that is again by the help of all the, see this, it doesn't go inside the nucleus. What is the difference in this? In the hepatitis B, it is entered the nucleus, okay, and here it remains in the cytoplasm only, and then there is a formation of the progeny viruses, and which is again going and infecting other. So immune response, so it can turn to chronic hepatitis, cirrhosis, or liver cancer, okay. I will leave you very soon, within 2 minutes. And then lab diagnosis is the same, ELISA and immunochromatographic test, okay. And also the HCV RNA, RT-PCR for HCV RNA, okay. You can even do the quantitative HCV RNA. Positive antibody result indicates that a patient has been infected with hepatitis C at some point, okay. Negative antibody result indicates that the patient has never been infected with hepatitis C. Positive antibody result alone does not distinguish between an active and previous HCV infection. What I started in the beginning, only the antibody will not say whether he is having an active infection or not. So if you have a HCV infection, then what you have to do is test. First step is anti-HCV antibodies. Next is to do the HCV RNA, okay. First HCV detect हुआ, अगर वो positive हुआ, then you go for HCV RNA. Then only you can say that is active infection. Patient, you have to treat that patient, okay. So that is what important here. Treatment is goal, prevent all complications, cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma.